What's up, guys? I'm Bernie with TooFab, and I am here with the legend, Tommy Chong. Many people consider you a legend, myself included.
A legend, icon, ex-con.
Oh. What is your response to that? Do you think, does it put a lot of pressure on you? Oh, you like it?
Oh, I love it.
Okay.
I love it. When you get old, you like the attention.
You are, in a sense, considered the founding father of weed culture in this country.
Officially, actually.
Officially.
Yeah, I went to jail for it. I was the only guy in America to go to jail for selling bongs.
I know.
And that sort of like solidified my position.
I know. Does that kind of blow your mind now that you've seen how far we've come?
I knew I was right back then. I knew I was right. You know, the Chinese knew, what, 5,000 years ago that weed was good for menstrual cramps. And so I've always known weed was healthiest. And so when I got busted, it was like, yeah, they'll learn eventually, you know. And the bust turned out to be like another adventure.
Was it?
Yeah, yeah.
What was, I mean, I know you spent 9 months in prison.
Yeah.
What was your takeaway? I mean, what did you learn from that experience?
I loved everything. You know, it was, at first when, you know, just like these people going to jail or about to go to jail for their school, you know, for trying to get their kids into school and that.
Loughlin and Felicity Huffman.
Well, right now they're in denial. They can't put you in jail for trying to get your kid in school, can they? Yes, they can. And what my takeaway was, when the government offers you a deal, take it. Because the government is, if you don't take the deal, then they can, and if you beat the charges, they can refile the charges. You can't beat the government. And so that's what I learned. You can't beat the government. So what I did, I used it. First of all, I used time in prison as like a spiritual retreat. Okay. Because I was like a monk, you know, they put you, in the cells with men, but I had a lot of freedom because I was old, you know. I was age exempt from working.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or doing anything really. I could have just sat there, but I went to school. I tried to get my GED. I never got my grade 12. I failed it. And I was such a celeb. They said, just write down anything, we'll pass you. And I said, no, I can't do that.
Really?
I mean, can you imagine how important a GED from jail that you cheated on?
I see the irony in it, definitely.
No, I thought it would be better if I failed it, you know, and admitted it, you know.
Okay.
And no, I had a great time in prison, I have to tell you. I had one of my cellies was Jordan Belfort, you know, the Wolf of Wall Street.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, and so when he got there, and then we had a little community of the most famous people in jail. Like, we all hung together. And we had one of the guys, he was a golf caddy, Eric Larson. He ran the garden, the vegetable garden. And so we had a gourmet meal every night.
Wow, just you guys?
Home cooked, just us guys.
Wow.
There was 4 of us.
Who else was in the group?
Well, there was a couple of mortgage people that cheated on their mortgages. You know, they were in there. Jordan was in for a minute, but he got kicked out.
He got kicked out of jail?
No, he got kicked out of our food combat.
Why?
Because he wouldn't do the dishes. He would hire, you know, the deal was that Eric cooked, and then the rest of us would do the dishes, or the pots and pans.
Right.
And it was like symbolic. And well, Jordan, when he joined, he was busy. He's a genius, so he was playing backgammon with one guy and writing a book and all that stuff. And so he hired people to do his washing his dishes.
Oh my God.
But that's a no-no. So he got booted out. He didn't care anyway. You know.
Wow. Do you guys still keep in contact?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. When I helped him, Jordan. I helped him write his book. Well, what I did, I was writing my book. And so he'd come in from playing tennis. That was one of the perks in jail. And he would say, what are you doing? I said, I'm writing my book. And he goes, oh, I'm going to write a book. And so he started writing. And the thing is, he's, you know, he's a genius, but like a lot of geniuses that go bad, they tend to steal other people's material. You know? And,
Yeah.
and so Jordan, even his writing, he had to kind of steal Tom Wolfe.
Wow.
And so I had to tell him that he wanted to critique. He said, "What do you think?" And I told him, "You just did Tom Wolfe. You know, you really haven't written anything." And I told him. Then he said, "What should I write?" And so then I give him the advice that he listened to, and it turned out to be a bestseller.
Wow.
And the advice was write the most of. Like if it's going to be a mountain, it can't be a hill. It has to be the biggest mountain
the
ever
best,
in
yeah.
the world, you know. And that's what he did, and it became a big hit, a movie, and all that stuff.
That's amazing.
So all my whole life has been full of these kind of experiences.
And you look at them positively. You called
Totally.
going to jail an adventure. I mean,
Totally. Yeah.
that's the type of attitude you need to have to get through
Everything.
experiences. Yeah.
Everything. Because we're here to solve problems, you know, not to be one.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's our job.
Yeah.
You know, we're here to learn.
You obviously love marijuana.
Yes.
And you have your own weed tour
Yeah,
throughout LA.
yeah,
Can
yeah,
you tell
we
me
do.
about that?
It's called the Green Tour.
Okay.
And I guess you go online and find it. And what they do, you know, people that want to meet me, they get on the Green Tour. They come and they tour the dispensaries and the important weed places in California or in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And then they come to a little halfway house, I call it. It's not called that, but I call it a halfway house. And then they disembark there, and I meet them and do a meet and greet. I sit and sign and pose for pictures and
Wow.
smoke up. And yeah.
You're living the life.
Oh, so tell me about it.
So 420 is coming up,
Yes.
your national holiday.
Yes.
Is that day any different for you than any other day, or is that just April 20th?
Well, it's actually, it means a lot to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's uniting. You know, there's so many stories about how 420 started, but basically it was a good excuse to get high. That's all it is, really.
Very true.
Regardless of the reason, you know. I've made 420 maybe 3 times in my life.
Oh my God.
Because I always, it's 7 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock. Oh. And if I get close to 420, it's 420. Oh, it's not quite yet. I'll wait. Then, it's 5 o'clock. Oh. You know, that's the spirit of 420.
You know, a lot of people who are not, I would say, avid smokers tend to partake in 420. What is your advice to people who get, you know, anxious or paranoid when they smoke, or people who get the munchies, or like, how do you just smoke and enjoy yourself?
I learned one thing in prison and in yoga.
Okay.
It's called stay on your own towel. Have you heard that phrase?
No, I have not.
Well, when you're doing yoga, they tell you, Bikrams especially, they tell you stay on your own towel. Which means is that just stay in your own little space. You know, don't worry about what's going on over there or what's going on over there. Just stay on your own towel. The other day they said, what's the new face of marijuana? Because it's legal. I says, yeah, it used to be the hippies with the headbands and, you know, they're smoking and doing weird things. Now it's old ladies trying to sleep. I know so many grandmothers and mothers that, I got my edible. I get my gummy bear and I take that and I'm good for the night. That's a new
amazing.
thing.
It's amazing.
And the creams are so good.
Yeah.
And then they got these sprays that help your love life, and that's even better. Whoa. And they taste really good.
Great to know. Good to know. Let me see.
Is that a Me Too thing?
So I heard that you're also joining forces, or at least a fan of a visual arts festival called Zentopia.
Oh, yeah.
That's launching on April 20th, correct?
Yes.
So
yes.
what's your involvement like with this organization?
I have no idea. But imagine if they gave you the notes. That's why we're here. I'm supposed to say something nice about it, but
So
like I say,
you're gonna be there
yeah, I'm
for
gonna
an
be there.
appearance.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm going to be there. But see, my appearances, I've got that down real easy. You know?
Okay, so what did
I show up, smile, smoke, eat, say hi, sign autographs, hug ladies.
You really do have the best job in the world.
Oh, incredible.
Amazing.
Incredible. Like I was on The Masked Singer, you know.
I know.
Yeah, and the only reason because I'm a famous stoner. They said, well, wouldn't it be great if Chong was on there, and then he takes off his mask and Tommy Chong, and you know, I've never really sang lead. I've always been a backup singer or a backup guitar player. But when they asked me to go on The Masked Singer, I said, yeah, you know, because they give you a singing coach. And so I learned how to sing one song, and it was so much fun.
You enjoyed it?
Oh, I loved it.
You know, your son, Paris, I was watching this documentary, and Paris said that you have always been a big dreamer, and that at one point you wanted to make $1 million bong. Would you still want to make $1 million bong?
$1 billion bong.
$1 billion bong.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
And who is the buyer that you have in mind?
We don't know yet. Here's the thing. It's like art, okay? If there's one piece of whatever it is that everybody wants and can't have, there are people that will pay whatever it takes to get it. Because when you get that rich, then you get crazy.
It's true.
You know, you want the biggest boat, not because you love boating or anything, because you can tell everybody I got the biggest boat. So my theory with the $1 billion bong, which I haven't really figured out which one it's going to be, but I make bongs, I still do, out of recycled glass, mostly kombucha bottles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And, so LA.
It drives my wife nuts because I can't drink a kombucha bottle without peeling off the lid. And saving the bottle.
Oh
and my family, you know, if they want to be mean to me, they throw the bottles away, and I'll find it in the garbage. What are you doing? Listen to my plan.
Okay.
This is what I'm going to do with my plan. And the $1 billion bong is going to be involved in it.
Okay.
I'm going to hook up for mentally disturbed people.
Okay.
A lot of, like, art, is when you have mental problems or any kind of emotional problems, part of the therapy is always art. Because art, when you get involved in making something, even if it's, you know, a throw rug or something, anything that involves just you trying to create something, you connect with your maker, with the creator, because that's what, you know, we're here to create. And so once we start creating, it's incredible because you make that connection. And so what I'm going to do with my kombucha bottle bongs is I'm going to have the people with mental problems that are institutionalized in that, you know, and that they use art as therapy. I'm going to have them decorate the bongs.
Wow.
And then the proceeds of the sale will go to them. And it not only give them money, but it'll also give them pride in what they're doing. Because the art, no one will know who did it, but we're going to have contests to see which piece, you know, gets elevated. Yeah. And I'm going to do an art show with it, and that's where the $1 billion bongs go. I'm going to have the $1 billion bong on display. You can't see it, but it'll be behind
like a glass or something.
It'll be covered because if you see it, you ruin it. So, but what's for sale will be the bongs that are made by these artists.
Wow.
I call them artists because we live in a physical world, and what we need is mountains to climb or big problems. And if we don't have big problems, then our little problems become big problems.
Wow.
You see? And so if you've got a big problem, don't feel sorry for yourself. Actually feel happy because now you know what you got to do in life. It's the ones with no problems, then all of a sudden they're little problems. Like you get billionaires that can't get on a plane because they got this fear of flying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, that's someone with a little problem that made into a big problem. And so with art, art can solve all our problems. Like when Trump was talking about building a wall, I was on the comedy circuit, and I'm a little deaf, and so I said, I thought he said mall. And I thought, wow, that's a great idea. Build a mall between Mexico and the United States. So when you're coming up, you can buy your supplies and you get in there.
I can't. That would have been a great idea.
I'm saying, that's what I'm saying.
When was the last time you and Cheech spoke? Any plans for any type of reboot or going on tour?
No, we do our show. There's Cheech and Chong and Shelby. Shelby's my wife, and she opens the show.
She's so
cute.
Oh,
that was, you know, the Flower Power cruises. You know, when they get all the hippies and the would-be hippies, you know, and they get old groups like tribute bands like Mamas and the Papas, and there was Sly and the Family Stone. It was like the Family Stone, and Box Tops, and all these bubblegum from the old 60s era, and it was, what a day for a daydream. And then they had Cheech and Chong. Well, Cheech and Chong were a little bit risque. And so the first show, it was not only a show, but it was like an exercise in how to get the hell out of that auditorium.
Oh my God.
Because it looked like a fire show for some people when they heard Shelby. Because she's kind of risque, you know. She's beautiful.
She's a firecracker.
But she's a little risque, and so then the next morning we're having breakfast, and the intercom says, "If you're coming to the Cheech and Chong show tonight, be warned that is vintage Cheech and Chong." So I talk to Cheech all the time, and yeah, I tease him. You know, I tease him about being deported by Trump. You know. I'll protect him, you know.
You'll protect him?
Oh yeah. He's in there, man.
I know that you were also on that 70s show.
Yeah.
Do you still talk to any of the cast from that 70s show?
You know, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't for a long time. We kind of, Ashton and Mila, we have the same gardener. And so the gardener tells us what's going on in their life.
Are you serious?
But we'd never, like I wasn't invited to their wedding or anything like that, you know. Yeah, I'm still an outlaw, you know, even with certain people like Ashton and you know.
Were you surprised that, well, first of all, were you hurt that you weren't invited to the wedding?
No.
Oh, okay. Were you surprised to hear that they were getting married?
Pleasantly surprised, but I love that show. The only reason I took it, and I do this in the show, is that they showed me the marijuana circle, and I realized that I could do that show without compromising my integrity. And I rub that in Cheech's face all the time, because he went on to, you know, he did a million things, you know, Nash Bridges and all that. I got offered Nash Bridges, but I turned it down.
Why?
I didn't want to be a cop, you know.
I see why.
I'd be an informant, you know, but I sure wouldn't be a cop. You know?
I can see that.
Yeah, no, and I felt, you know, with Cheech and I, we built our, you know, our whole career on this. You know, definitely was not. I turned down Lion King.
I know. Why though?
Because it was a Disney flick, and it would.
But you were gonna voice a hyena, right?
Yeah.
That's so fun.
But at the time, Disney was sort of anti-pot. And yeah, they wouldn't let you in if you had long hair and a T-shirt. You know, they wouldn't let you in Disneyland. And so I always had a thing against Disney until I got offered Zootopia.
I know.
And I got Zootopia, and then all of a sudden I like Disney now.
Yeah, because you got to play yourself.
I got to play the stoner amp. So you got to hold out for your stuff. It's not about money.
That's good advice.
In this world, it's not about money. The only problem I had is, and a lot of people, successful people, have the same problem, is growing old.
Why?
Because you've made it. Now you're too old people to enjoy it. You know?
Not for you.
No, that's what I'm saying. You know, as I get, like I'm 80 now.
I cannot believe that.
I know.
I can't.
I know. But there are times when my body knows it's 80 years old, you know? And so when I want to get up out of a chair, I have to strategize. You don't just jump up. When you're 80, you kind of look around and see, You know, you get your hand, and you gotta, you know, you gotta do all these things.
Yeah.
And when you do anything, when you move anywhere, you gotta be careful because if you move too fast, you get a cramp or something, or might break. So then I read something that really opened my eyes, and it was about sex and age. And apparently, the more sex you have as you get older, the longer you live.
Interesting.
Not only interesting, well, it didn't make my wife very happy. she thought that period was over. But now I'm like Pepe Le Pew, you know. I'm running like, hey, baby, you're looking so good tonight. and she's always going, get away from me.
You know what, wait, I do have one more question I meant to ask you. So before you were an actor, way before that, you were in a band called Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers.
Yeah, that was one of the names.
That was one of the names.
Yeah.
I heard several of the names.
Yes.
And I'm glad for your sake that they didn't stick to the name that you chose.
We wouldn't have been signed.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I do not think so. But it's funny because I was reading that the Jackson 5 opened for you guys one time.
Yep. Before they were Jackson 5.
So what were they at the time?
They were called Jackson 5 plus Johnny.
Oh, yeah.
And they were from the high school in Gary, Indiana.
Oh,
and they won a contest, an amateur contest, where they got to open at the Regal Theater in Chicago. And we were co-headlining with Jerry Butler and Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers and the Jackson 5. And so when we shared the dressing room. And little Michael would get a little box. He had to stand on a box to get in the mirror to do his natural. And he was the cutest little guy. The whole band was incredible. They were cute little guys. But Michael was so unbelievable.
You could just tell that he was going to be a star.
I did a thing for BBC. They did a documentary on Michael. And they asked me about him. And I said, the weirdest thing about Michael was that he was a little adult when he was 10 years old. 8 years old. He was an adult.
Like a grown man in a little body.
A grown man in a little suit. And he could do all the moves, perfect moves. Jackie Wilson moves, you know, just dance, James Brown, do all that stuff. Wow. The older he got, the younger he got.
That's so crazy.
Until pretty soon, when he was near death, he was like a baby.